some defense today, okay? You guys might want to come around this way. Just explore the back position. And we're gonna, because it's no gi, it's a little bit different. Some of it is a little bit easier, some of it is a little bit more treacherous. Because there's no lapels, I don't have to worry too much about some of the threats that exist if space is created. But with no gi, because of sweat, I still have to be mindful. His arms can connect pretty quick. Always remember, most of the time, anytime you're in a position, even a defensive position, there's always an element of control you can establish. And one thing I want to make sure that even in a position like this, which we don't actually ever find ourselves in this exact configuration, but it's still a good starting point. How can I keep my opponent from getting me to a side? Because this is really right from here, my partner's sitting straight up like this, he can't engage his hips. So he can grab onto my neck, but even with a formidable, like let's just go here, even with a formidable defense, he can squeeze. Go ahead and start working the rear naked. Like I can hold, but if he gets me to the side, now he can engage his hips. The hips are what finalize the technique. So this tells me that I cannot allow him to pull me to a side, especially the side, what we call a strong arm. Whatever arm is over the shoulder, this is what I want to avoid. Because once this is here, it's hard for me to turn in. Turning away is worse, and then if he creates extension with his hips, this is the beginning of the end. So knowing that, you need to establish some control. So one of the things we want to do, of course, both hands are on the wrist, elbows down, like I'm doing a pull-up. The most important thing is protect the neck. Now the feet, you see how my feet are pointed in? We point the feet out, like kickstands. Now, no matter which side Keith tries to pull me, I have a little bit of stability. And depending on size, and I apologize in advance, sometimes what you guys are going to want to do, because how can I get a little bit better control? I get myself right on top of him. And now he's carrying my weight. I have a wide base, still holding onto this arm. Want to fall to the open shoulder, this side. So how do we make that happen? I'm going to remove the kickstand, this side. This leg is going to slide right next to my other foot. And when I do that, I'm going to drop my shoulder. And you see for a brief moment, I've stripped this hook off by bringing my leg down. Then it comes over and I sit on his hip, or his knee, I'm sorry, his knee. Once I'm here, my hips are pointed to the sky, his hips are pointed to the side, still controlling the arm. Now all I want to do from here is keep moving my hip off. The inside arm, I bring my elbow down against his hip. And what this does, if he tries to mount or anything, it gives me some control. And you want to have at least one knee framing off the hip. From here, especially no gi, we can counterattack, go after the legs. I can attack his arms, but at the very least, I'm off the threat of the back. So we're going to start the near side, what I call the safe side first. We're not going to fall to the strong side. Hang on the arm. It's like you're doing a pull-up. Elbows tight. Because the other thing there's a lot of moving parts with this scenario. But one of the things we want to make sure is that I don't just hold on to this arm. If I don't control the underhook, that's exactly what's going to happen. I'm kind of being a little bit obvious with this, but I have both arms now. So now I have some defense. Post, I drive my weight up, open my base wide, and I just control. I'm not in a hurry here. And when the opportunity is right, we extend, bring your head close to the mat too, and now we turn and we sit on the knee. It's really important right now, and we can work on breaking this grip, but in no gi it's really not as vital because he's lost his frame. So from here, when I go to clear my hips, this arm, if I hold like this and I drop my hip, he mounts. So when I'm ready to clear, block. See the frame, exactly. Now I can hook his leg even. Half guard, I can start working on his leg, going after his leg, hold his arm, but there's a frame here now, so if he tries to get on top, he winds up inside my guard, not in an advantageous position. Elbow down, both elbows down, holding, post, bring the weight up, keep hanging, and then when you're ready, 1, 2. All your weight is on the knee. You start working on the grips, but at the very least from here, when I go to disconnect, my elbow's right here. I really like this, holding onto the ankle and keeping the shin against his hip. This gives us a leg that we can counterattack, or at the very least, allows me to segue back into a stronger guard position. Okay, any questions? We're gonna start with this one first, and then we'll address the other side. Okay, let's go. 1, 2, 3. Hold here. Okay, now guys, let's take it a little further. The idea here is always the core of what you're trying to do when you're defending the back is we have to remove his ability to generate leverage with his hips. This is the source of everything. This is just a basic control. If he gets a tight seat belt and he pulls me to the side and engages his hips, just locking and puts his hips forward, you can see it's very hard for me to maneuver. He can hold a tight seat belt, but if he doesn't engage his hips, I turn. This is the pathway to escape. So let's go back to the top. When we're falling, as we just did, to the open side, the first thing we're doing is turning our hips up. That's why I take the step, and immediately this. This is the beauty of this is I do not need my hands to touch his feet. Once he can even have somewhat of a hook, but if my hip is sideways, the efficiency of his choke is going to be weak, especially if I put my head to the inside, close to the mat. Even if he's around my neck, I would not advocate you just letting somebody hold you like this, but you can clearly see there's nothing here. He needs my hips like this. Then everything locks in. So understanding that, when we fall to the strong side, this is where it gets dicey. He turns his hip, and going this way, you see it's even more pressure. So it makes more sense, especially no gi, because I'm not worried about the lapels. I have to misalign my hip. You notice, like I was saying, we never let go of the choking arm, no matter what. And in this angle, what I'm mindful of is his elbow positioning. So when we fall to this side, the difference we're doing now is the bottom leg kicks back, and I just turn my hip a little bit. You see I'm facing the mat, and I hug his arm. I'm going from here to here, just like this. If he starts to use the other arm to choke me, there's nothing here. I'm just gonna keep rotating, and I don't let his elbow go until I'm on all fours. The elbow keeps him from getting out. If I lose the elbow, he's gonna follow me to the top. A lot of moving parts on this one. What I want you guys to think about is you're holding here. When you fall to the strong side, the primary thing, do not let his hip engage against your hip. So I'm gonna actually turn and face the mat. If I don't hold this elbow, see how the elbow comes out? He's on my back. When I fall, I want to rotate my hips forward, but you'll notice the configuration of my legs. We're not stepping forward. I'm not doing this. This pulls him right on top of me. We're doing like a switch step. Like this. And from this position, everything is on this arm. I'm not doing anything right now to try to escape. I'm certainly not going to let go and put my hands on the mat. I'm holding right here and slowly building height, slowly building hip height. Once my hip is sufficient, I keep holding the arm, and then from here, you'll generally feel them trying to straddle your back, trying to climb up. That usually means unlocking the arms, and instead of lifting, I just keep driving forward. Now I can take my arm over and we're in the top position. Just wait there for a second. When you turn to the side, the bottom leg. And we're rotating our hips, still holding onto the arm. Not this. One more time. I have the bite. He's gonna pull me to that side, right here, and hang on that arm. See, and the more they struggle, I just keep climbing, 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 and then forward to make sure he stays grounded. Okay? Any questions? The primary thing, especially if you're newer, is let's just misalign the hip. Turn and face the bottom. The rest of it, we'll add, those are layers that we add to it. Okay, let's go. 1, 2, 3.